Through thick morning mist, Camelot rose like a scene from a timeless legend, its towering spires piercing the sky, its stone walls veiled in fog. At dawn, the first light of the sun painted the castle in golden hues, while the distant clatter of horses' hooves and shields echoed through the silent courtyards. There was a boy named Arthur, still a prince, but his destiny was already written. After the death of King Uther Pendragon, England had fallen into chaos, its lands divided by warring kings. Legend said Arthur alone could pull the right sword at the right time, and Excalibur, this sword was not just a weapon, it was the symbol of England's destiny. In a sacred grove surrounded by ancient stones, Arthur grasped the sword embedded in rock. As he pulled it free, the crowd fell silent. The moment marked not just a personal triumph, but the beginning of a new era for England. To unite his kingdom, Arthur summoned brave and loyal knights, Sir Lancelot, Sir Gawain, Sir Percival, and many more. Each was a legendary warrior, arriving with their own stories of valor and loyalty. As evening fell, the great hall's stone walls glowed with torchlight, casting flickering shadows across the banners and shields. The knights pledged their loyalty at the round table, a table where no one sat above another, a symbol of equality, honor, and justice. Outside, the wind whispered through the castle's ramparts, as if the stones themselves recognized the birth of a new legend. The knights trained relentlessly, their swords ringing in rhythm with the heartbeat of Camelot, preparing for the battles and quests that would define their era. Arthur's reign was tested almost immediately. Rival lords threatened the kingdom, and dark forces loomed beyond the forests. The knights rode into battle with unwavering courage, their banners streaming in the wind, the clash of swords echoing like thunder across the valleys. Each knight displayed unmatched skill, Lancelot's unmatched swordsmanship, Gawain's bravery, Percival's purity of heart. Villagers watched in awe as their heroes defended Camelot, knowing that these deeds would become legend. Yet it was not only strength, but wisdom that defined Arthur. With Excalibur shining in the sunlight, he led his people with fairness, punishing injustice, rewarding loyalty, and inspiring courage. This was not merely a kingdom, it was a beacon of hope, a legend come to life. Deep within the misty forests surrounding Camelot, Merlin the wizard moved like a shadow, his long cloak trailing over moss-covered stones. His eyes glimmered with ancient wisdom as he whispered to the wind, summoning visions of the future. He had guided Arthur from boyhood, teaching him courage, patience, and the delicate art of leadership. But now Arthur faced threats that swords alone could not defeat. Dark omens appeared in the skies, comets streaked across twilight, storms churned violently, and strange lights danced in the depths of the enchanted forests. The people of Camelot whispered of shadows that moved with minds of their own, and Merlin knew that Arthur's true test was just beginning. Excalibur was no ordinary blade. When drawn, it radiated a light so pure and intense that even the deepest darkness recoiled. Merlin revealed to Arthur its hidden powers. The sword could heal, reveal the hearts of men, and shield the righteous from unseen dangers. It was a weapon forged not just for battle, but for destiny. Together, they ventured into the forests, where the mist hung thick and the trees seemed to lean in, listening. Every step was a trial. Enchanted beasts lurked in shadows, rivers whispered secrets, and caves held relics from a time long forgotten. Arthur confronted creatures that tested both his might and his morality. Each victory was a lesson, each challenge a step toward becoming the king Camelot needed. One fateful night, a dark sorcerer emerged from the forest depths, raising a shadow army that spread terror across the land. Lightning tore through the skies, and the wind carried the screams of distant creatures. Arthur, with Excalibur in hand, rode forth, while Merlin conjured protective wards and illusions that shimmered like silver fire. The clash was monumental. Blades met with sparks that lit the night. Shadows twisted and writhed, and the earth itself seemed to shudder. Arthur fought with valor, every movement precise, yet guided by the wisdom Merlin had instilled in him. In the end, courage, honor, and the subtle touch of magic prevailed. Camelot stood intact, and the legend of the Shadow of the Sword was born, a tale of destiny, heart, and power intertwined. News spread across the kingdom. A mighty army was approaching Camelot, intent on overthrowing Arthur and seizing the crown. The first light of dawn painted jagged mountain peaks gold, while scouts raced back with urgent warnings. The air was thick with tension, the villagers whispering prayers, the castle bells tolling in warning. Arthur summoned the knights to the ramparts. Their armor gleamed in the early light, each shield etched with symbols of loyalty, courage, and honor. Excalibur hung at Arthur's side, gleaming faintly as if sensing the storm that approached. Every citizen knew that this battle was more than a fight for land. It was a struggle for the soul of Camelot itself. The enemy advanced across the plains, banners snapping violently in the wind, the thunder of countless hooves echoing through valleys. Arthur's knights, trained tirelessly, formed a formidable line. Lancelot's sword flashed with deadly precision. Gawain's shield held against impossible odds. Percival led the vanguard, protecting the villagers fleeing towards safety. As the battle raged, the sky darkened, thunder rolling across the hills, lightning illuminating the chaos. Yet Camelot's knights moved with coordination, born of trust, courage, and unbreakable will. Excalibur's light seemed to guide Arthur, cutting through the storm, inspiring both his knights and the frightened populace. Hours passed, the clash of steel and cries of valor echoing long after the sun had climbed high. Enemy lines faltered before the unyielding courage of Camelot's defenders. Every hero's action became legend in that moment. Shields splintered, swords shattered, yet the heart of Camelot held firm. As dusk approached, the battlefield fell silent. Smoke drifted across the hills, the air thick with the scent of sweat and blood. Camelot remained unbroken, its walls scarred, but its spirit unshaken. Arthur's knights gathered once more around the round table, weary but triumphant, knowing that their courage had preserved not just a kingdom, but a legacy. Tales of bravery, sacrifice, and honor would echo for generations, immortalizing the heroes who had defeated. As the sun dipped behind the jagged peaks surrounding Camelot, a shadow fell over the castle that no sword could pierce alone. Arthur stood at the highest tower, his gaze scanning the horizon, feeling the weight of destiny pressing upon him. The battles had been won, yet whispers of unrest and unseen threats carried on the wind. Merlin appeared silently beside him, his robe blending with the evening mist. "The trials are far from over, my king," he murmured, his voice carrying both warning and wisdom. "Even victory can be a seed of peril if your heart is unsteady." Arthur's mind raced. The faces of fallen enemies, The cries of villagers and the triumph of his knights all mingled with doubt. Was he truly ready to lead a kingdom through the storms yet to come? Excalibur gleamed faintly at his side, as if sensing the turmoil within him. In the deep halls of Camelot, the Round Table gathered once more. The knights spoke of distant lands where darkness was gathering. Rebels, mercenaries, and creatures of legend whispered in fearful tales. Sir Lancelot's eyes reflected both courage and caution. Gawain's jaw was set in determination, and Percival's expression bore the weight of unspoken burdens. Each knew that their loyalty would be tested not only by battle, but by choices that could reshape the kingdom itself. That night, as moonlight spilled over the castle's ramparts, Arthur ventured into the enchanted forest alone. Shadows twisted among ancient oaks, creatures of myth observing silently from the undergrowth. Here, Merlin's teachings came alive. Patience, intuition, and the courage to face fears both mortal and supernatural. Each step was a meditation, a confrontation with his own doubts. Suddenly, a dark figure emerged from the fog, an emissary of an unseen enemy, cloaked in shadows. The air grew thick, the forest silent except for the crackle of arcane energy. Arthur raised Excalibur, feeling its warmth against his palm, and prepared to confront a force that sought not just his life, but the soul of Camelot itself. The ensuing struggle was as much internal as external. Every swing of his sword mirrored a decision, a choice between anger and mercy, pride and humility, fear and courage. When the confrontation ended, Arthur stood alone amidst the forest mist, victorious but transformed. He realized that leadership was not merely winning battles, it was guiding hearts, inspiring loyalty, and facing the shadow within. Camelot was safe for now, but the legends he and his knights were forging would echo for centuries, stories of courage, magic, and the unbreakable bonds of honor. As dawn broke over the castle once more, the knights gathered around Arthur. Their exhaustion was tempered by resolve, their fears replaced with determination. Together, they had survived the shadows, not just of enemies, but of their own doubts. And in that unity, Camelot's legend would endure, a tale of light and shadow, courage and destiny intertwined.